Welcome back. We've gone over tips to develop a good relationship with your mentee. There, we had talked about setting boundaries and limits, no matter how close you are with your mentee. This module will be telling you all you need to know about knowing your limits and setting boundaries. This module will teach you how to establish and maintain boundaries. Apart from that, you'll be learning how to manage both overcommunication and undercommunication. You'll know how to spot mentoring barriers and overcoming them. Let's start. Boundaries are necessary for every relationship. It's important to know the limits and establish clear boundaries in order to have a healthy relationship. This is because making rules and establishing limits make managing a relationship a lot easier. It helps people involved, the mentor and the mentee in this case, respect each other's feelings and opinions. Setting boundaries in a mentor-mentee relationship can only be established with a healthy discussion. This section gives an idea of how such a discussion should be like. As a mentor, you should be clear about your responsibilities, what you can do and what you can't. Discuss and work out a schedule for the sessions. Make sure to include the duration and frequency of these sessions. Make sure to establish clear methods of communication. Remember to update any changes. Ensure both of you are on the same page when it comes to confidentiality. Discuss which topics are confidential in different scenarios. Before you sit for this kind of discussion, make a list of your responsibilities and limits. Ask yourself these questions. What kind of access does the mentee have to you? Does the mentee need to have unlimited access to you throughout the mentorship? Does contacting you always require an appointment, or is the out-of-the-blue text message okay with you? When can you allow them to contact you and when you can't? Weekdays only or 7 days a week? How far are you ready to go to help and guide your mentee? We've determined your boundaries and availability. How to stick to those invisible lines? The first thing you should do is to understand your limitations and communicate the same to your mentee clearly. Know where you can and can't be flexible and where you can't. Don't overcommit. If you have the smallest doubt that you won't be able to make it to the session, do not commit. If you're not able to make it, inform your mentee. Know your schedule better to avoid the unnecessary hassle. We've previously explained to you how integral communication is to the mentoring process. It is the ultimate tool to helping mentees succeed, as it is the only way mentors can get to know their mentees better. Effective communication is critical to establishing a healthy relationship between the mentor and the mentee. As we've seen earlier, setting boundaries is possible only with a proper discussion. It naturally becomes essential to have good communications to reach goals. In the next few slides, we'll be going over the harms of overcommunication and undercommunication. We'll also be looking at ways to handle them both. Overcommunication happens when boundaries are not properly followed. It can be harmful as it leads to a lot of problems in the mentorship. It causes confusion and doubts in the relationship between the mentor and mentee and tends to slow down the progress of the mentee. Compensating or overcommunication is fairly simple. Open talk with your mentee is the first step. You should let them know that they're overcommunicating and explain how it affects their progress. Once they understand, show them the actual form of communication required. Teach them how to establish limits and stick to them. Provide regular feedback about their communication. Remember to give constructive feedback only. Moving to the other end of the spectrum, undercommunication. It's basically a lack of communication. In a mentorship, this leaves the mentor with little to no information about the mentee. They're unable to come up with plans or teaching methods to help the mentoring process. Undercommunication hinders the relationship and makes it very difficult to make progress. Achieving the specified goals becomes even harder. The mentor doesn't also gain anything from this kind of mentorship. Both parties have no benefits from this relationship. Handling undercommunication is very different from handling overcommunication. The first step is the same, sitting the mentee down and making them understand what they're doing wrong. Get to the underlying cause. Motivate them to open up to you and get the mentee to trust you. Establish a safe zone and ensure confidentiality. What you can also do is schedule more sessions and explain boundaries and communication to the mentee. Establish various modes of communication with the mentee and follow up on every session. Barriers in mentorship aren't hard to spot at all. A few of them are mistakes on the mentor's part. Lack of time due to poor time management, inadequate preparation for the session, disengagement due to lack of understanding, not being able to establish boundaries leading to ineffective communication, not taking up responsibility seriously, not appreciating cultural differences, and following stereotypes.